Hello, hello, sir. Please unmute yourself.
Namaskar to all. Today is the second day of our 2 days webinar program. ICPR sponsored periodic lecture program organized by Noyagad Autonomous College, Noyagad, Odisha. Yesterday, we had a very beautiful session with Dr. Suryakanta Maharana sir, assistant professor, University of Allahabad. He was talking about knowing by becoming. And he had made a very beautiful distinction between Western and Eastern standpoint regarding the source of knowledge and the status of knowledge, regarding the role and goal of knowledge. I had also given an introduction about Indian knowledge system, and that program is continuing today. And today we have with us resource persons like Dr. Patita Bhavan sir, Assistant Professor, Ravenshaw University, Cuttack, Odisha, and Dr. Indu Pandekhanduri Madam, Professor and Head, Department of Philosophy, HNB Guruwal Central University, Srinagar, Uttarakhand. Patitavan sir will be speaking on the topic knowing by perceiving. This is another aspect of our knowledge. He will be speaking on that topic in the first session, and in the second session, Dr. Indu Pandekhanduri Madam will be speaking on knowledge by thinking. So I hope today it will be very beautiful sessions by both of the resource persons. Respected Pratita Bhavan sir, respected Indu Pandekhanduri Madam, respected all the participants, dignitaries, senior professors of philosophy, lovers of philosophy, and my dear students. We shall start. Our principal sir will remain absent today. So on his behalf, I welcome all of you to this periodic lecture program. With this, I request Mrs. Sulogna Samantarai, Assistant Professor of Philosophy, Noyagad Autonomous College, Noyagad, to give introduction of all the guests. Over to Mrs. Sulogna Samantarai.
Thank you, sir. Good morning and namaskar to all of you. I am Sulagna Samantray, Assistant Professor in Philosophy, Noyagad Autonomous College, Noyagad. Today we are going to conduct the periodic lecture program on the topic Indian Knowledge System, sponsored by Indian Council of Philosophical Research, New Delhi, and organized by Department of Philosophy, Noyagad Autonomous College, Noyagad. Today, it is our second day of this session. On this auspicious occasion, I feel privileged to introduce our esteemed guests and resource persons who are present with us to contribute their valued knowledge and make us enlightened. We have with us Professor Pramod Kumar Das, Head of Department Philosophy, Noyagad Autonomous College, Noyagad. Professor Das is the coordinator and convener of this ICPR sponsored periodic lecture program. I welcome you, sir, to this program. We have with us Dr. Patita Bhavan Das sir, Assistant Professor and Head of Department Philosophy, Ravenshaw University, as the resource person in this ICPR periodic lecture program. In the first session, Dr. Das shall deliver a talk on the topic Knowing by Perceiving. Dr. Patita Bhavan Das works as Assistant Professor and Head, Department of Philosophy, Ravenshaw University, Cuttack. Apart from that, he is the coordinator, Center for Sri Aurobindo Studies and Futurology, Ravenshaw University, as well as the coordinator, Design and Innovation Center, IIT Bhubaneswar. He is also assigned as the associate editor in both Ravenshaw Journal of Philosophy and Journal of AOPA. Dr. Das is a gold medalist in both graduation and post-graduation from Government College, Rourkela and Utkal University. He earned his MPhil degree from the prestigious institutions like JNU New Delhi and PhD from Ravenshaw University. He always makes him engaged in teaching and research activities. He has published many books and numbers of research papers in national and international repute. I am so fortunate to introduce my professor in this webinar. I welcome you, sir, to this program. We have with us Dr. Indu Pandey Khanduri ma'am, Professor and Head, Department of Philosophy, HNB, Garhwal Central University, Srinagar, Uttarakhand. In the second session, Dr. Indu Pandey Khanduri madam shall deliver a talk on knowing by thinking. Dr. Indu Pandey Khanduri ma'am works as Professor and Head, Department of Philosophy and Director, Faculty Development Center, PMMM NMTT, Government of India at the HNB Garhwal University, Srinagar, Uttarakhand. She had her graduation from BHU Varanasi, post-graduation from University of Allahabad, and PhD degree from JNU, New Delhi. She started teaching in HNB Garhwal University in 1991. She has teaching experience approximately 29 years, constantly involved in teaching and research. She has supervised 12 PhD scholars, accomplished 3 major research projects, Ministry of Culture, Government of India, and 1 major research project under UGC, New Delhi. She has published 4 books and more than 35 research papers in research journals of national and international repute, and 15 research papers in the edited books. Apart from, she has published several books, book reviews, biographical notes, and comments of the manuscripts. I welcome ma'am to this program. We have with us Mr. Devashish Sarangi, Assistant Professor in Philosophy, LN Mahavidyalaya, Jamushole, Baleshwar, who is very sincere and dynamic in the pursuit of philosophic wisdom, and he is a good organizer too. He has given his kind consent to give us all technical support and moderate the interactive sessions. We all are really grateful to you, sir. I welcome you, sir, to this session. We have with us Ms. Sasmita Mudali, Lecturer of Philosophy, Nayagarh Autonomous College, Nayagarh. She has been given the assignment of proposing vote of thanks at the end of the session. I welcome you, ma'am, to this webinar. With this, I welcome all the senior professors, lecturers, dignitaries from different colleges, and my dear lovable students, and all the participants who are digitally connected with this webinar. Thank you all. Over to Pramod sir for further proceeding. Namaste.
Thank you, Sulagna madam, for your nice introduction. Today we have 2 sessions, therefore we shall be very much concerned about time binding. So without delay, I shall invite the first resource person, Dr. Patita Pavan Das sir, to deliver his talk on the topic knowing by perceiving. Over to Dr. Patita Pavan Das sir.
Thank you very much, Pramod sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yes.
Yeah. Good morning and namaskar, everyone present here. And I'm really indeed privileged to be the part of this wonderful seminar and wonderfully organized by Nayagarh Autonomous College, particularly the gang headed by Dr. Pramod Kumar Das and Madam Sulagna, Madam Sasmita. Thank you very much. As Pramod sir has directed us, we should not lapse any time because this is really today 2 people are going to speak, and without any delay, let me start my slide. Give me 1 minute, please. Is this visible?
Yes, sir. Visible.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's start directly. As the topic decided in this seminar, I'm going to speak on the title Knowing by Perceiving. I'm really obliged to the Noyagod Autonomous College giving me this privilege to speak on a very important topic, very interesting topic today, knowing by perceiving. Okay, will you please allow me to start with a story? If you allow, please write yes. Why? Or you can also write no. N. So let's start with a story in this morning. Should we start with a story? And this story, the title of this story is The World is Falling Apart. And the story goes like this. While playing, a chirpy tiny squirrel heard a crashing sound beneath the bush. Assuming the world falling apart, the little squirrel ran abruptly. On the way, a crow met the squirrel and asked the reason of her running. The world is falling apart, the squirrel answered hurriedly without halting. The crow believed the squirrel and moved fast. Soon, other animals and birds, the hyena, the jackal, the bear, the horse, elephant, everyone in the jungle followed the move, followed the suit. Everyone was running, believing that the world is falling apart behind them. Looking at the gang, the lion, the king of the jungle, shouted, "What is the matter?" "The world is falling apart," the gang answered. "Let's move. The world is falling apart." "How did you know?" the lion asked with authority. And this is the question of knowledge we are going to discuss today. How did you know that the world is falling apart? The lion asked with authority. No one answered because they were afraid of, lion, the king. No one answered. And then, spontaneously, turning to the tiger, the lion asked the same question. You say, how did you know that the world is falling apart? The tiger said, it is the elephant who said this. It is the elephant, the tiger said. And when the lion moved to the elephant said, no, 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 I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything. It is the monkey who said me that the world is falling apart. And the lion goes. It is the hyena, it is the crow, and at last the squirrel. Right? How did you know, squirrel? The lion asked to the squirrel. And the squirrel said, I heard it. And then the lion said, show me. Where did you hear that the world is falling apart? Show me. Squirrel said, yes, king, please come with me. And at last, when they investigated what happened, how did the squirrel came to know that the world is falling apart? And when they investigated, they found that it was a bell fruit that crashed on the soil beneath the bush. But the little squirrel assumed that this is the crashing sound of falling world. This is the story. How do you know that the world is falling apart? And the saying goes, and I can understand that you could also understand a little bit from this story. And the saying goes, in Odia we say, Jaha nodekhibo beni noyone, porote nojibo guru bachane. And this is the English of that. Have you not known by seeing, never go by mere teaching. And that actually shows that how perception as a valid source of knowledge is very important in our thought process, right? If you don't see by your eyes, of course, seeing has a wider representation here. Seeing means perception in any form, 5 sense organs. So have you not investigated or inquired by your sense organs? Have you not known by seeing? Never go by mere teaching. So don't believe on anything. Don't believe in testimony. Don't believe in text. Don't believe on anything unless and until you inquire by yourself through your sense organs. So this is the moral of that story, that if you don't know by perception, don't believe anyone, because perception is the only, might be, or the most important valid source of knowledge. Have you not known by seeing? Never go by mere teaching. And then it goes like this. Then there is this very genuine question: are there other sources also? And we know that there are many. At least we can talk about Nayak scheme. We have 4 different fields, different sources of knowledge: perception, that we say prataksya, inference, comparison, and verbal testimony. And we are going to talk on this. And the question we normally ask, and today we are going to ask in this webinar, that is, why talk on perception? And I would say that talking of perception is important from 2 different perspectives. One is global perspective, another is local perspective. And what is the global perspective? This is this: Sa vidya ya bimuktai. And this is a very interesting thing we have to understand, that in Indian philosophical tradition, knowledge is not acquired for knowledge's sake. Knowledge is acquired so that it will guide us for liberation. Sa vidya ya bimukta. So it has to liberate us. Knowledge has to liberate us. We should not acquire knowledge only for knowledge's sake. We have to acquire knowledge so that it will liberate us. And then when this is the aim of acquiring knowledge, and you can understand then what is the standard of knowledge. Knowledge should not be knowledge about anything and everything. Knowledge about that which liberates us. And if that is the standard, then what happens here? Look, if you ask your friends over a dinner or lunch, you ask, what is perception? Then they will commonly say that perception means, seeing stuff. I see a table here, that is my perception. Right? So seeing, in a very normal sense, perception means seeing, right? Perceiving. But in Indian context, they have given lots of thought over it. What is the perception? What is the nature of it? And then we come across a very interesting, approach on perception. That is the Buddhist way. And the Buddhists say that, and what is the definition of perception here? Perception is unerring cognition of a given sensum in complete isolation from all ideata. And we have to focus a little more on this. This is unerring cognition of a given sensum in complete isolation from all ideata. That means whenever we know something, if that is through perception, the perception should not be mixed with any of our mental construction. That is what is called all ideata. Buddhists use a term called kalpana. Kalpana podham bhrantam. So it should be absence of all ideation, all mental construction. Then what is perception? Perception is a bare minimum sensing of bare particular, bare individual. So Buddhist actually gives a very strict or narrow kind of, standard for perception, unerring cognition of a given sensum in complete isolation from all ideata. So this is what is perception according to Buddhist definition. And then comes this Rose Riddle. And I have a task for you. You saw this rose, right? Can you see this? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It is visible. Okay, it is visible. Thank you. Thank you. This is a rose. Now the question is, you can type in your chat box. The question is, it is a rose, therefore you see it as a rose? Or you see a rose, therefore it is a rose? You can write down 1 or 2. Your answer is either 1 or 2. Let me ask you this. It is a rose, therefore you see it as a rose? Or you see a rose, therefore it is a rose? You can write your answer at the chat box, either 1 or 2. 1 is this. It is a rose, therefore you see it as a rose. And 2 is this. You see a rose, therefore it is a rose. What would be your answer? You can write down in your chat box. Okay? Have a thought over it. Let's move to then. Then comes Buddhists. Buddhists would ask this question, do you really see a rose there? This is also a question asked by Western empiricists, hard Western empiricists like Locke, Buckley, and Hume. They ask the question, whenever we see a thing, for example here for us, rose. Whenever we see a rose, perceive a rose, do we really see a rose? Or we see simply a particular color, particular shape, a particular size? Do we see a rose? Or a red color might be, red color or a particular size? So this is the question Western empiricists also ask. And Buddhists also ask the same question. Do you really see a rose here? And then they say, no. If you take the definition seriously, then we actually see only bare sense data. We never see a rose. And we put a name on it. Rose is just a name that is put to all the sense data, individual sense data we find. Rose is just a name. This is a Buddhist, answer to that riddle, that rose doesn't exist. What exists or what is perceived is simply bare individuals. Rose is just a name. And what they say? They say it is mere a mental construction. Better to say it is a mere mental fabrication, prapancha. So we see something as perception, we see something, but we name it something else. And that is the influence of our ideation, mental construction or mental fabrication. And they say this is prapancha. And Buddhists believe that unless and until you get rid of this prapancha and you don't find the bare minimum, you don't perceive the bare minimum, you are in dukkha. So the destruction of prapancha. And what they say? Look, they say perception is the cognition of unique individual. So lakshana they say. Unique individual. Just like I said, when I see a rose, I see red color. I see a particular shape. I see a particular size. I never see a rose. Later on, my mind actually, superimposes that this is a rose. I never see a rose. Rose is a name. I see simply so lakshana, unique individual. Perception is the cognition of unique individual. This is the Buddhist way of thinking about, perception. And therefore they say sambriti jnana, or knowledge of whole or universal, that there is a rose here, or knowledge of whole as a rose as a whole, doesn't exist. We never see that, we never perceive that, we simply superimpose. Might be because of our habit. You might understand, you might recollect how Hume was saying. Hume was saying, I simply see or see only bare perceptions, sensations. I simply stumble upon sensations. I never see the self. That is Hume. Here Buddhists also argue in the same fashion, that we cannot perceive the whole. We simply perceive the bare individuals. And unless and until we get rid of this superimposition of whole into the bare particular, which we see actually, we are in dukkha. And that is what they say. Prapancha begets dukkha. Getting rid of it is moksha. That I said that there is a global aim of discussing perception. This is the global aim of discussing perception. That perception, if you don't have valid knowledge, if you don't have true knowledge, then you cannot attain, liberation. This is a global aim for which Indian philosophers were so meticulously discussing about valid source of knowledge. And Buddhists were so skeptic. They were saying that, look, unless and until you get rid of your mental constructions, mental fabrications onto the perceived bare minimum, you will not get liberation. So prapancha begets dukkha. Getting rid of it is moksha. I won't talk more on Buddhism. And therefore, in conclusion, what they say, the Buddhists believe that all perceptions or all modes of perception is indeterminate, nirvikalpaka, right? Or concept free. That is called concept free, indeterminate. No determination is there. You can simply, feel that sensation. You cannot name it, because the moment you start naming it, you impose your mental constructions on it, and then it becomes mess. And in that sense, Buddhists would say that bare perception is objective. But when you start determining it, you start naming it, it becomes subjective, your mental construction. And therefore, you have to be very serious not to mix your mental construction on bare perception. Valid knowledge is objective. Subjectivity makes mess. That is Buddhist idea. That whenever you name it, whenever you add your mind, then it becomes mess and you are in samsara. And if you want to become out of this samsara, then you have to find out that destroy this prapancha. But then the question comes, who sees? Whenever we see something, what do we believe? That we believe that it's our eye that sees. And in that case also, our other sense organs, doesn't matter. Do you really think that our eyes see? Or who sees actually? It's I. Does it our eye that sees, or I see? That is a question. Is it visible? Hello?
Hello, yes, sir. Yes, sir, it is visible. Yeah.
Okay. So this is another question we should ask. In response to Buddhist philosophy, that who actually sees? Is it our eye that sees, or is it I? Now, how do you interpret that I don't know. Is it I that sees, or is it our I that sees? This is a question. But then Buddhists would say, or some other, we'll come to that they will say, no, 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 no. Eyes are only lenses. Our eyes are only lenses. They see what are seen. And eyes are mirrors. They show what are seen. And you can understand that this is the hard or very, radical kind of empiricist. They believe in this principle, that our eyes are very much objective. They never, deceive us. They see what is seen and they show what is seen. In between, there is no complexities, no contamination. Our eyes tell the truth. And our mind is so passive. It doesn't do anything. It simply reflects what our eyes see. These are the empiricist thing. But then comes question 1. If really our eyes see what is seen, then why is it that we do not see many things around when we walk on the road? Let me ask you a question. Suppose you are walking on the road, right? You are walking on the road and there are many things in front of you. Your eyes are open, your eyes are open, your eyes are all right. They see in normal conditions. But suppose your friend asks, have you seen that person or that shop? That shop there. You said, no, I have not seen. And then your friend asks you, how come it is true? You passed by that way. He is there. He is on the road only. You are telling the truth. You have seen him, but you are saying you have not seen him. And what they say? They say, have you, where you are, walking on the road, closing your eyes? You said, no, 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 my eyes were open. Then he says, no, if your eyes were open, then you could have seen him. No, he is in front of you. But does it not happen sometimes? Does it not sometimes happen that we were walking on the road? There are many things we never see. We don't see. And after that, when sometimes our friends say that there is that thing, then we come and inquire and we said, how is it possible? I passed on this road, but I never see it. No, I didn't see it. Doesn't it happen? Sometimes it happens, right? So our eyes never see. Sometimes it misses something. And then there is a question. If our eyes are really lenses, it should not miss it out. That means someone who is channelizing our eyes behind. And that is I, our mind. And here I remember, a very famous Western philosopher, Brentano, says, we see what I intend to see. I see what I intend to see. Even though my eyes are open, I never see all the things which are in front of me. I see what I want to see. So that is the, that is the importance of the mind present in, channelizing perception. Perhaps that was what Buddhists were talking about. That whenever we go to see something, our mind plays a very important role. And unless and until you keep your mind in bracket, you cannot get liberation. That is the question. Why is it that we do not see many things around when we walk on the road? Our eyes are open. But imagine if you fix a camera, the camera sees exactly same thing which comes in front of it. But our eyes don't do that, even though our eyes are more powerful than a camera. Okay, and then question number 2. The world is as we see it or as it is seen. This is again a question between bare sensation or sensation modified by our ideation. The world as we see it or the world is as we sin, as we see it. So that is the importance of precept and concept. The debate between precept and concept. This is a very age-old philosophical debate, and that was beautifully discussed in Indian tradition also. That whether precept is important or concept is important. Now, Buddhists were saying that if you want to get liberation, then your perception should be concept free, nirvikalpaka, concept free. But is that possible? This is a question. And I was talking about Brentano. Eyes see what I want to see. It's not that eyes see whatever they want to see. No, no. Eyes see what I want to see. So in that I, small I, no, simple I, that is very important. That is the idea of concept. And therefore, there is another extreme, no, sabdikas, or we say grammarians. So in one extreme, Buddhists say that all perceptions are nirvikalpaka, concept free. And then there is another group of philosophers in Indian philosophy. They are called grammarians or sabdikas. They say, no, 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 no. All perceptions are determinate, sabhikalpaka. Because without no language, you cannot even think of no seeing a thing. So all perceptions are sabhikalpaka, concept laden. So Buddhists, in one hand, are saying that all perceptions are concept free. And grammarians, they are focusing, they are holding that all perceptions are concept laden. And what would be the Nyayikas? True. So this is again grammarians, perception has subjectivity. Then what is it really? And now we will go to Nyayikas. And what Nyayikas would talk about this and how they will enter and interfere in this whole debate. And very, very interestingly, you might find that Nyayikas actually were responding to Buddhists. They were saying, they were giving hard debate for Buddhists that no, nirvikalpaka, all perceptions cannot be nirvikalpaka. There must be some sabhikalpaka perception also. Then what is it? And what the Nyayikas would say. Nyayikas are realists. They would say the world is as we see it. But then, are they idealists? That is a question. And the definition comes. The definition is very popular. I want to talk about that. Indriyartha sannikarsa utpannam jnanam. So this is a very, this is the older Nyayas. They were talking about this. So what is, pratyaksha or perception? The perception is the connection, Indriyartha sannikarsa means the connection between sense organs and the object. This is a very important line you must understand. So there must be a connection between the object and our sense organs. And from this connection, whatever comes is called pratyaksham. Right? This is the definition. But then there is a challenge. Do we not see this? We see a pencil. Our indriyas are in sannikarsa, right? Connection, definitely connection. But is it a valid source of knowledge? Is it a true knowledge? This is not. And how Nyayikas would say? They would say, and therefore, later Nyayikas like Vachaspati and all, they actually discussed that no. The definition has other characteristics. It's not simply indriyartha sannikarsa utpannam jnanam. It is also this. Abhyapadesham. Then abhyavichari. And then vyavasayatmakam jnanam pratyaksham. So they added another three characteristics. So it's not simply the direct connection between the sense organs and the object. It is also another three. Contact between sense faculty and object, that is the first criteria. But they don't stop here. They say it should be non-verbal awareness. Mind it. Non-verbal awareness. That means what? That means it is nirvikalpaka. Non-verbal awareness should not be impregnated by language. So it's no, it should not be determinate. It should be indeterminate. Non-verbal awareness. And then comes non-erroneous. It should not be mistaken like the pencil or like the rope and snake. This is very very popular example. I should not talk more on that, but rope snake example. It should not be erroneous. It should be true. Then definite in character. It should not change. This is very interesting. So these three things they added. Non-verbal awareness, non-erroneous, it should not be mistaken, and it should not change. Right? But I had a doubt, and this is also a task for every one of us. And of course, I should not say that I am an authority in Indian philosophy, but anyone who is in the audience who has Indian philosophy as an subject, they should think over that. If we concentrate on the second characteristic, non-verbal awareness. Non-verbal awareness, that means perception has to be indeterminate. And if this is true, can Nayayikas talk about determinate perception also, sabikalpaka perception also? This is a question we have to ask. Now, these are three other characteristics which are added to perception by Nayayikas. Now, one more task for you. What is this? Please write down. The first letter of think what you see here. Please write down in your chat box. What do you see in this picture? What do you see? Or anyone also can say. If you don't write, then please say it. What is this? What do you see here?
Sir, rabbit and duck. Sir, rabbit and duck.
Okay, rabbit and duck. Okay. Anyone else, please? What do you see? No answer? Okay. Let's move then. Whatever you see, but now you have to understand that how important our concepts in stimulating our precepts from this perhaps. Okay. Then what these Nayayikas actually add to this? They say, let's remember that rose example. Let's see red petals. Buddhist way are saying, when I see a rose, actually I don't see a rose. I see red color. Nayayikas agree that yes, I see a red color, but I also see red petals of the rose. I also see rose. I simply never see the red color there. I see the rose. So what is here, what Nayayikas are doing, that they are gliding from nirvikalpaka perception to sabikalpaka perception. They are also admitting that there is a sabikalpaka element in nirvikalpaka perception. And how is it? There are lots of debates and discussions on this, that Nayayikas agree that we see the bare individuals as well as we see the universal in it. Right? And this is a very important development Nayayikas have done. And why this is important, I would say that Buddhists were a little bit reductionist. They were reducing all our perceptions to bare individuals. They say we simply see individuals. We never see anything else. Now, Nayayikas are more expansionist. They are expanding our vision. They say that no, I see the red color as well as I see the rose. And that is what? Perception is seeing the universal in the particular. So I see the individual as well as the particular. Particular as well as the universal. So for Noyayikas, both exist. Particulars exist and universal exist. So that is a very important metaphysical, construction they do, and that is how actually they make a middle path between these two extremes. In one hand, Buddhist extreme that all perceptions are nirvikalpaka, and the Sabdika's contention that all perceptions are sabikalpaka. And Noyayikas make a very holy harmony between these two, that no, perceptions can be nirvikalpaka as well as sabikalpaka. And I can understand that the most important discussions and research now today going on in philosophy of mind is nothing but a footnote to this. That whether I see the world as my mind shows me. This is the question Western philosophers are still asking. Philosophers of mind, they're asking the same question. And they're trying to amalgate that subjective and objective. And the Noyayikas were so spectacular to make it a harmony, that how we can see the both things at the same time, universal as well as particular. And they say that perception has both indeterminate, nirvikalpaka, and determinate mode or sabikalpaka mode. And then I should conclude with this line. What the world as we see, the scene. So it's not simply my mind, my mental construction. I see it. But at the same time, I see what is seen. I never see my fantasy. So that is what might be, I don't know, but my humble submission would be the conclusion the Noyayikas actually give to us is this. The world as we see the scene. Thank you. Thank you very much. And this is my card for reference.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Patadabanda, sir. You gave a very brilliant representation on this topic, knowing by perceiving. Your method was analytic. You gave an analytic approach to this topic. That how you made a very beautiful distinction between two things. One is concept-free perception, and the second one is conceptualized perception. Concept-free perception is advocated by Buddhist philosophy, and you spoke of conceptualized perception, advocated by other philosophers. And in a Naya system, there is a harmony, there is a synthesis of these two, that they believe in both nirvikalpa and sabikalpa, and they actually this is a very beautiful presentation. You spoke that perception comes first, then we conceptualize it. Without perception, also Immanuel Kant said that for having any mental construction, we have to perceive and we have to collect the sense data, because that is the first process, and the second process is conceptualization. And in Naya system, actually nirvikalpa and sabikalpa are two stages. The first stage is the Nirvikalpa stage, the indeterminate stage, and then automatically we enter into the second stage, that is Sabhikalpa stage. That means you told that, you spoke that also. In the first stage, there is no interference of mind. There is no interference of language. There is no preoccupied thought. There is very innocent perception that there is a direct contact between sense organ and object. That is Nirvikalpa. But after that, when we name it, we conceptualize it, we refer to our memory. Memory means the past experience. Suppose by observing the sense data of a rose, we do not say that it is a train, it is a sky, it is a pond, it is a sea, it is an ocean. Why do we say that it is a rope, it is a snake particularly? Because we have seen it previously. And from that previous perception, from that previous memory, we come to the Sabhikalpa state and we name it. So so Nirvikalpa and Sabhikalpa are two stages of perception, and it is beautifully synthesized in the Naya system. Your talk was very precise, clear, and lucid. Now it is open for discussion. I shall request Mr. Debashish Sarangi to conduct the interactive session. If there is any question in the message box, then he will pass it to Dr. Das. Over to Debashish Sarangi.
Thank you very much, sir. And also thank you to Patit Pawan, sir. So there is a question from Swastik Nath. He wants to know what is knowledge in its true sense. We have scientists who prepare vaccines and those who create nuclear weapons. Whose knowledge stands and in what regard?
Okay, thank you very much, Debashish. Now, who asks this question, please? Debashish, who is this?
Swastik Nath.
Swastik, yes. Swastik, thank you very much, and I can understand your your concern. Is that what is knowledge? And he has given his answer. He assumes that knowledge is a true knowledge if it is useful. And therefore he says, scientists who are making vaccine as well as weapons, is it true knowledge? That means he has in mind that knowledge has to be useful. So he is assuming pragmatic kind of knowledge. I said in my presentation, perhaps in the initial time, that in Indian tradition, we have a very beautiful definition, sa vidya ya vimukta. Knowledge has to liberate us. Knowledge is not for knowledge sake only. It has to liberate us. Now, they have given a very strong task for us. Actually, Indian philosophers are strong headmasters, strict headmasters. They have given a huge task for us. But what I'm saying, that even in that sense, knowledge is not only for knowledge sake. Knowledge has to help us in solving our problems. Even though personally, I'm also pragmatic in nature. And I agree with Swastik that yes, true knowledge is that comes as a usefulness to us, right? As a tool. If that doesn't serve this, then perhaps that is not knowledge. Even I subscribe to that theory. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So as I'm seeing, there are no such question in the chat box. Yeah. So if anyone wants to ask something, they can unmute themselves and ask their question. Hello? Is there anyone? Okay. Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Hello.
So, Hello. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyone?
Yeah, good afternoon. Actually, I just wanted to ask whether we are framing our children knowledgeable or just literating them nowadays in our school system or education system.
Thank you, Supriti ji. Yes, this is a question everyone is now asking, right? Everyone is asking the same question: what we are doing with our children, right? And because we believe that, you look, one thing is very clear. I was just referring just a moment back that Indian philosophers were giving us a very hard task, very huge task, that you should be knowledgeous so that you will liberate. We could not match to that standard, and we had another option that is called pragmatic theory of knowledge, that comes from west, of course. More and more west, with a brand, American brand. So now we are very fond of American brand. So we also got infected with that knowledge is that which is useful, and that actually brings down that standard. The standard was your knowledge should liberate you. Then we made it little bit concession, bargaining, that no, okay, liberation, forget about that, it's very hard, very difficult to attain, forget. So knowledge is that which solves problem. And when it becomes that, what happens? Everyone started to talk about knowledge that actually solves a problem. You invent a bulb, you invent a vaccine, you invent something that solves your problem, you become knowledgeous. So scientists in that sense become so knowledgeous, very knowledgeous, the most knowledgeous people in this world, because they get some solutions. So scientists, engineers, they became the knowledgeous person because they were getting us some solutions, right? And that becomes a fashion. But then today, we have to remind our forefathers that knowledge is not to solve your problems. Knowledge is to liberate you. And in that case, we are not doing enough. We are failing. In fact, we are failing. But today, if you define knowledge in the sense of knowledge that has utility, that is useful, then of course, we are making our children smarter. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello?
Uh,
Hello?
Hello.
Yes.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Sir?
Swastik. Yes.
Hello? Sir, I have one more question, sir. One more question.
Satvik. Yeah, Satvik. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Sir, Satvik here, sir.
Yes.
Sir, that was a very good response, sir, that true knowledge should be useful. I completely agree, sir. I have just one more follow-up question. Sir, if the true knowledge is to be useful and that knowledge is traced in all its sense, then how do we acquire it, sir? How do we acquire true knowledge? Some say that true knowledge can be acquired by reading, and some say that true knowledge can be acquired by perceiving and experimenting. Your answer, sir?
Okay, Satvik, again, very good, very good. So thank you. Now, when your yardstick is true knowledge is that solves your problem, right? Solves your problem. And then your method of acquaintance is not important, right? If that solves your problem, that's okay. Now the most engineers look, and this is a problem with most of the engineers today. And yesterday I was also reading that notorious interview given by Prashant Bhushanji, that how philosophy is useless nowadays. So most engineers are doing this. What they do? They study all theoretical knowledge in their course syllabus, right? All theoretical mathematics. And then when they go for practice, they find most of their theoretical knowledge don't work. What works is a rule of thumb. Only rule of thumb, as it is seen to them, because their yardstick is to solve a problem, that's all. And then a true engineer, who is a true engineer then? A true engineer is, forget about what I read. Forget about everything. How did I get this knowledge? Who said this? How did I get it? The test of knowledge is whether I can solve this problem or not. Whether that comes solves. True knowledge is that solves your problem. Then we should not be worried about how did it come.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, now you are audible. Machre mane what
Okay.
problem
In
kya
between.
happened?
Yeah, your phone came. Yes. So my answer is, if your standard of knowledge is what true knowledge is what it solves the problem, then we should not worry about from where it comes. It comes might be from any different source. It doesn't matter if that is the standard. And I remember a very Odia story here. Is that our Konark temple, Sun Temple at Konark, right? It was done by 12,000 people. All are experts in archaeology and no engineering. All were expert. But what did it happen? They were using all their expertise, but they could not finish the top of the temple. They could not finish it, right? But then the son of one artisan, he is only 12 years old. He comes and he says, I can do it. People said, how is it possible? We are all experts. We cannot do it. How can you do it? He said, give me a chance, I can do it. And he did it. And the Sun Temple is there in front of you. In Odisha, it's one of the wonders in world. And the top is finished by a child. Should you ask the question to him, how did you know? How does it matter? But then the story has a tragic end. I should not tell you that. But this is it. So it's not important from where it comes. Important is whether it solves your problem. Thank you. I think I added to. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Then
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
yeah, there is one more question from Sasi Pragya. She wants to know, how will you explain knowing is perceiving from the Jain perspective of the theory of knowledge? Actually,
Jain perspective. I'm sorry, I don't have much knowledge on Jainism. So if anyone else knows that, they can say that. So I should not answer this question. I'm sorry, really. I'm not expert in Jainism, so I should not say something. I know it, but I should not do that. I should not enter to that adventure. Yeah.
okay. Thank you very much, sir. So now it's up to Pramod, sir. Hello.
Thank you very much, Pramod sir, and the whole team, giving me this opportunity to share my. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your honesty, that what you speak from your conviction, and what you do not know, you don't speak. And that is the real spirit of a philosopher. Thank you, your very brilliant presentation. And now this is time for the next session. We have with us Dr. Indu Pandey Khandri Madam. She will be speaking on the topic knowing by thinking. So we are all grateful to Madam for her benign presence in this auspicious occasion. Now we shall request Dr. Khanduri to deliver her talk. Over to Madam.
Okay. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, Madam. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Namaskar to all of you. And first of all, I would like to express my thanks to the organizer for giving me this wonderful opportunity to be with you and share my views. I wish to express my thanks to Professor Suresh Kumar Pradhan, Principal Nayagad Autonomous College, Professor Pramod Kumar Das, Head of the Department, and the organizer of and coordinator of this webinar cum seminar. Co-speaker Professor Pati Tapavan Das, who has done his job brilliantly. Moderator Mr. Devasis Sarangi. Introducer Mrs. Sulagna Samantrai and Mrs. Sasmita Mudali. With this brief note, I would like to start because there is a time restriction for this deliberation. And before I start, I would like to thank the organizer for choosing such a wonderful topic. This is not a traditional topic like speaking something on the knowledge system from the point of view of pramanas. This is the system where they have involved a kind of discursive thinking. You see, the topic like knowing by being or becoming, knowing by perceiving, and knowing by thinking. These are the three dimensions of the knowledge. When you know, you become like that. It means your knowledge changes your personality along with your thinking. Knowing by perceiving, it means you are being affected by the external conditions. And knowing by thinking, it means it affects your entire thinking. And nowhere thinking is taken as the praman of the knowledge. Thinking is a process. It is involved in each and every step of the knowledge. And I would start my deliberation with a statement. I don't know who has said it. I heard somewhere and it clicked me for this occasion. Watch your thought, for they become words. Watch your words, for they become actions. Watch your actions, for they become habits. Watch your habits, for they become character. Watch your character, for it becomes your destiny. It means your thought through a journey can have power to change your destiny. And in this reference, since I'm going to talk knowing by thinking, I would be taking certain segments from the sayings of the famous philosophers and thinkers. Like William James says, a great many people think they are thinking when they are merely rearranging their prejudices. Prejudices is very important thing here. Clear thinking requires courage rather than intelligence. It means if you have got certain things in your mind and if something new is coming, you have to rearrange the entire thing. This is said by Thomas says, most of the mistakes in thinking are inadequacy of perception rather than mistakes of logic. The kind of thing Dr. Pati Tapavan Das was talking in the beginning, that perception has to be accurate, authentic. So the moment we are having inadequate perception, it misleads us. Ralph Waldo Emerson says, thought is blossom, language is bud, action is fruit behind it. And Buddha says, what we think, we become. You can see there are several segments, several aspects which has been addressed by these thinkers. But I would like to start by saying that thinking is the central to all knowledge process. Though it is not considered independently as a praman. But in all the pramanas, since we are talking about the Indian knowledge system, I'll be taking all the 6 pramanas and I'll try to show how thinking is involved over there. Because you see, whenever we start thinking about knowledge, thinking is automatically included. But at the same time, thinking is hardly taken as the source of knowledge in the sense of 6 pramanas in India's system of knowledge is taken. And here, knowing by becoming, this is a kind of journey to your metaphysical transformation. Knowing by perceiving, as I said, this is the effect of external things on your knowing system. But knowing by thinking is inherent everywhere. It may be your realization, it may be your introspection, it may be your knowing process, it may be your perceiving process, comparative process, anything. It could be. And in Indian system, there is a concept of prama and pramana. In these categorized prama and pramana, if I say there is no mentioning of thinking as an independent segment. Because prama means correct notion, true knowledge, basis, foundation, or understanding. With praman being a further nominalization of the word. Thus, the concept praman implies that which is means of acquiring prama or certain correct true knowledge. You can see, given this definition of prama and praman in Indian system, it is very difficult to see where thinking is involved. Chintan, what is said in Indian philosophy, it is everywhere, but not independently underlined. But this particular webinar or conference or seminar is giving an opportunity to think over it. Think over thinking. It becomes very, very significant. Because unless and until we know in what direction our thinking is going, unless and until we know that we are using the praman or understanding the praman in the right sense, the acquisition of knowledge in the real sense would not be possible. And here I would like to say that knowledge is cognition that has been produced in the right way. There are 2 segments. Right way is praman. And praman is including thinking. It means right thinking is very much important. Cognitions are moments of consciousness, not species of belief. But we may say that cognitions from belief informing dispositions and that veridical cognition from true beliefs. A knowledge episode, to speak in the Indian manner, is a cognition generated in the right fashion. And here I am reminded with the Kantian notion of cognition, who distinguished it from opinion and belief. Opinion is a kind of mental disposition or a segment of cognition where neither subjective nor objective sufficiency is assured. Belief is the stage where subjective sufficiency is assured. But cognition or knowledge is the stage or segment where objective and subjective sufficiency both are assured. It is from this point of view, knowledge in the appropriate sense. Somebody was writing about the definition of Prama of Nyaya philosophy. Yes, that is true, and I will be taking into the account. But since I am proceeding from initial introduction of knowledge and thinking towards the Pramana Vichar, I will be taking up their own. So I was talking about Kantian notion of cognition or knowledge in terms of subjective and objective sufficiency. But at the same time, since we are dealing with the Indian philosophy, this is appropriate time to say that realist like Mimamsa, Nyaya and Vaisheshika says that it has the right origin in fact, and whether it is because it guides successful action in helping us get our desires satisfied. Like Pati Tapavan Das was talking while responding the questions, that knowledge, if it is useful, it is knowledge. The realist or pragmatist are going in that direction. But at the same time, knowledge is cognition that arises in the right way. It means knowledge for the sake of knowledge. And for this reason, since there are differences of opinion, there are different theories of truth. And when we broadly try to understand the concept of knowledge, it incorporates the object of knowledge, the subject of knowledge, the sources of knowledge. When we are talking about the object of knowledge, it is the external condition, the thing which we are knowing. Subject of knowledge, the person who is trying to know, and the sources of knowledge. In Indian philosophy, 6 sources of knowledge are defined: perception, inference, testimony, comparison, implication, and non-apprehension. After having a brief account of what is knowledge and what are its components and how it is being introduced in the systems, since we are talking about the knowledge by thinking, let us try to know how to understand thinking. It is an abstract term, though it is involved everywhere. And for understanding this thing, I moved slightly towards the psychology. And it says that thought is the mental process in which, being from psychological association and models of the world, thinking is manipulating information. As when we form concepts, engage in problem solving, reason and making decisions. Thought, the act of thinking, produces more thought. And they give example like remembering, imagining and dreaming. Deductive logic, inductive logic. Comparison, abstraction and relation. Thinking and knowledge. These are the things they are giving. But my point is that when we think from the philosophical point of view, philosophical discourse point of view, can remembering, imagining and dreaming could be put into the category of knowledge? We have got 2 categories, prama and aprama. And knowing aprama is the very basis of rectifying our knowledge. So, I don't say these are apramas, but definitely they cannot be put into the category of prama. Remembering could be helpful in building the foundation of some kind of knowledge. Like, for example, in pratyaksha praman, indeterminate, determinate, and pratibhigya. When we come at the stage of pratibhigya, remembering is required, but mere remembering of a fact or an event cannot be designated as a knowledge in real sense. But deductive logic, inductive logic, they involve thinking process. They build a foundation of knowledge. Comparison, abstraction, and relation also, they could be assisting in the foundation of knowledge. And thinking and knowledge are deeply related. In general sense, we can say when we try to understand what is thinking, so there is a list of what is thinking. We may call it thinking skill, and this thinking skill is for common people ranked in order of complexity, knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. At the same time, when we say that we all have unique minds, our tendencies have been summed into 5 recognized thinking styles: synthesis or the creative thinkers, idealist or the goal setters, pragmatist or the logical thinkers, analyst or the rational intellectuals, and finally, the realist or the perfect problem solvers. And there are 3 types of thought that many experimental studies have proved that our brain produces: insightful, that is used for problem solving; experiential, focused on the task at hand; and incensed. Insightful thinking help us to do long range planning and problem solving. But in nutshell, thinking is conscious and it is active process of mind. It is a kind of cognitive process that can make new connections and create new meanings. It is dialogic. It has the quality of an internal conversation between different perspectives of thoughts. Thinking is an important mental process. It helps us to define and organize experiences, plan, learn, reflect, and create. But sometimes our thinking may, for a variety of reasons, become unhelpful, and this has negative impact on our well-being. When we are coming to the systems of philosophy, I am reminded by René Descartes, a French philosopher, because these are the common people understanding of thinking. Let me come to the deep philosophical thinking on the thinking process, thought process. And when Descartes says, I think, therefore I am, it was not abrupt. It was a very systematic and deeply insightful. Because later on, in meditation, when he explains that what does he mean by thinking, he enlisted several processes of mind. And his enlistment includes doubts, understanding, conceiving, affirmation, denials, wills, refusals, imagination, and perception. It is from this point of view we can say that the act or practice of one that thinks is thought. The way of reasoning or judgment is a thought process. Thoughtfulness or rational thinking is a thought process. The thinking process can be about the thinkers as well. And it can be reflective, discursive, evaluative, explanatory, everything. And from this point of view, if we broadly categorize the thinking skill, it could be analytical, it could be divergent thinking, critical thinking, and creative thinking. And if we understand these thinkings in these lines, they could be very helpful. And since we are talking about the Indian knowledge system, in very brief, I would like to draw your attention from where in the entire personality, in the discussion of entire personality of human being, from where the thinking process can be traced. I don't say originate. I think for our understanding can be traced. So I am taking up the system of Annamaya Kosh, Pranamaya Kosh, Manomaya Kosh, Vijnanamaya Kosh, and Anandamaya Kosh. And it is the third and fourth stage of theory of koshas, that is mental capacity and rational capacity, from where we can understand the notion of thinking as such in that relationship. And here, now since I have given a broad outlook about the knowledge about, I am entering in that discussion with reference to 6 pramanas in the knowledge system. And first of all, I am going to take the perception. In my previous speaker, Patita Pavan Das, has talked elaborately on the notion of perception from the Buddhist perspective and Nyaya perspective. And he has given a beautiful explanation of these two views. I'm not going deep into it, but what I'll be taking, that according to Nyaya, perception or pratyaksh is considered to be the first source of knowledge or praman. Because this is the one visible and easy to understand by everyone, and this is the first source of the beginning of the knowledge from the gross level. It's not subtle level, from the gross level. If you want to have a knowledge of any object which is visible, which is material, this is the perception from where the knowledge is beginning. But you see, when we talk about the different kind of perception like indeterminate, determinate, and pratibhigya, I am reminded by a slok which is given in Shishupala Badh of the Bhagavad, where he is depicting Narad coming from the heaven to earth. And he is describing that a very light, full object is coming down. And mind starts thinking, what could it be? When it comes slightly down, it was shown that it is a human being by the organs. So from indeterminate to determinate stages are coming. And when he was on the earth and he could be seen from the at a distance, people could recognize that he is Narad. So this is a kind of process from indeterminate to determinate to pratibhigya is coming. But you see, the moment the light is seen, a thought process starts. What it is? It means without thinking, even perception is not possible. When your eyes are perceiving, if thinking is not involved, it cannot be conceived in the form of knowledge or in the form of cognition. And at the level of determinate, it becomes a very clear-cut scene that thinking is involved. And pratibhigya, memory is assisting you. Once you have already seen Narad and he is again presented in front of you. And since we are talking about pratyaksha praman and the thinking process involved in it, the three criteria, that avyapadesh, it is different from verbal cognition. The moment we are distinguishing it from the verbal cognition, the concept and the functioning of thinking is coming. Avyabhichari, it is excluding the illusory perceptions. It means it is not aprama, it is a right kind of knowledge. Vyavasayatmak, it is excluding all the doubts and it is useful. The moment you are giving the criteria, your thinking process is involved. Similarly, we can see that thinking process in inference is involved. In fact, if there is no thinking, there is no logic. And that's why logic is said the science of right kind of thinking. And the moment we talk about the deductive and inductive logic, they are based on the very process of right kind of thinking. The moment I say that valid reasoning and invalid reasoning, that is also a kind of thinking. And the inference, you see, the premises and conclusion, the connection made into it is based on thinking. Thinking is not in abstract, but thinking is what is based on the premises and its relation to conclusion. Whether it's Swarthanuman, Pararthanuman, and Purovat Anuman, or Seshvat Anuman, or Samanyato Drishta Anuman. In each kind of Anuman, there is a process of thinking. And the thinking, what kind of thinking is there? The thinking of exploring the logical relation between the premises and conclusion. So the thinking related to establishing relation is involved over there. And we cannot deny it. You imagine, once in a while, if you imagine that if there is no thinking process, how the relation between premises and conclusion can be established, how the flaws of logical reasoning can be detected, how the validity and invalidity can be identified, how the invalid inferences could be rejected, how the grounds for the invalidity could be detected and corrected. No possibility. So every inferential knowledge in its nature is based on thinking. And here the thinking is taken in the sense of establishing relation and logic and reasoning. Similarly, thinking is involved in the process of Shabda Praman or verbal testimony. Shabda Praman means relying on the word or testimony of a past or present reliable expert. And I would like to quote here Hiryanna, who is explaining Shabda Praman in brief, because in details there is no scope to take the definition as a concept which means testimony of reliable or trustworthy person. The schools of Hinduism which consider it epistemologically valid suggest that a human being needs to know numerous facts, and with the limited time and energy available, he can learn only fractions of those facts and truth directly. True. Our perceptual knowledge has got the limitation of space and time, both. But if we talk about the verbal testimony, it can we have ample experience of our ancestor, and they can transmit and pass on their knowledge. But the verbal testimony, instead of being believed blindly, have to be examined on the parameters. Because unless and until we test the testimony, because no system says that you follow it blindly. You experience it, you use it, you think it, and if you find yourself satisfied, then you accept it. And for that, Nyaya system is giving 4 parameters: Akanksha, Yogyata, Sannidhi, and Tatparya. And these 4 parameters very clearly requires your thinking process. If you are going to see the implication, the intention of the speaker, it requires a thinking. If you are judging whether your word is capable of expressing the thing you want to express or not, it's a process of thinking. If you are looking at the thing that the word is spoken at the appropriate time, at appropriate occasion, the process of thinking is involved. And if you are ensuring the very appropriate meaning, it is a process of thinking. Without process of thinking, no knowledge is possible in this reference also. Now coming to Upaman. That is, Sanskrit word is comparison. And this is the 4th praman. And you see, I said that thinking, the one aspect of thinking is establishing the relation. Upaman is based on comparing the thing. And by comparing, looking at the similarity. Here, the memory is involved, the thinking process is involved, and relational comparison is involved. You can see all the thing is, all the process which is involved in Upamana Praman or comparison, it's a merely process. Except Pratyaksha Praman, where the external object is first and our perception, the process of perception is first, then you start thinking. All the Pramanas, like Upamana Praman, they are based on the comparative thinking of mind. Because we are having the knowledge of one thing and we are seeing the another thing similar to that. And we are establishing the similarity between these two and reaching to the conclusion, arriving to the conclusion that this is like that. So in Upamana Praman also, thinking process is involved. Coming to Anupalabdhi Praman. This Praman is the non-perceptual Praman. Because you see, in Vaisheshika, Abhav is a category, Padarth. If you are giving an metaphysical category, you need to have a Praman through which you can know. And from this point of view, Anupalabdhi Praman becomes very important. If in this room there is nothing, suppose there was a chair and now the chair is not there. So non-existence of the chair in that room and acceptance of that as a category, it's a merely thinking process. You can think, you can visualize that if the thinking process is not there, how these pramanas of Indian knowledge system would have worked. There was no possibility. So in Anuplabdhi Praman, it's a thinking process in a particular direction. And whether that Karan Anuplabdhi or Vyapak Anuplabdhi or Swabhava Anuplabdhi or Viruddha Anuplabdhi, in every kind of Anuplabdhi, there is a thinking process. And there is a lack of perceptual knowledge, and in that perceptual knowledge, but there is an assertion of the category or padartha. That's why Anuplabdhi Praman becomes very important, and it becomes the source of knowledge. Arthapatti. Implication. Very famous example. Devadatt is not having anything in daytime. Still he is a fat, he is healthy. It may be he is eating in the night. The entire system is moving towards the thinking process. So if thought process is okay, it's in the right direction, one may prove that knowledge would be right, knowledge would be useful, it may be creative, innovative, and liberating. And one thing I would like to make it here, that liberation, the way it is being taught in Indian philosophy, have many implications. Liberation means liberation from your limitations also. And whenever we are talking about solving a problem, that problems has become restrictions or bondage for that particular time. And if your direction of thinking is right, you will overcome that limitation. It is sure. And from that point of view, the liberation has got a wider perspective and wider arena. And from here onward, if we talk about thinking in the entire system of Indian knowledge system, we can visualize and we can understand the kind of intense critical thinking it is having, which is one area of thinking process. And when we talk about the critical thinking, the skill that we need in order to be able to think critically are varied and include observation, analysis, interpretation, reflection, evaluation, inference, explanation, problem solving, and decision making. And specifically, we need to be able to think about a topic or issue in an objective and critical way. You see, the entire argument in Indian philosophy of Swatah Pramanyavad and Partah Pramanyavad, or accepting or rejecting the metaphysical assertions, is based on critical thinking. If we are rejecting certain things, it means we are criticizing on certain point, we are finding the flaws and we are trying to overcome those flaws. The next one is creative thinking. And this kind of thinking becomes very significant and important in Indian system of knowledge. Because once you find flaw, you create your own system of knowledge. For example, Charvak has dismantled every spiritual and moral values of Indian system. And afterwards, even the atheist system of Buddhists and Jainists they started evolving the moral thinking, moral discourse into it, a moral setting a moral goals upon it. So after dismantling, you need to create certain things, and that is possible only through your creative thinking. And in contemporary period also, the creative thinking refers to ability to conceive new and innovative ideas by breaking from the established thought, theories, rules, procedures. It involves putting things in new and imagining way. And creative thinking is considered as thinking out of box. Apart from the critical and creative thinking, concrete thinking is also very important, and it refers to apply ability, comprehend and apply factual knowledge. It is about thinking of ideas and objects as specific terms rather than merely theoretical representative of more general concept. It involves thinking only on the surface and to the point. You see, conceiving a thing, comprehending the idea in an appropriate manner, the way it has been expressed, could be possible only if we have got concrete thinking. Objective thinking, the very basis of objective thinking is the concrete thinking. And at the contemporary time, coming out from the Indian system, I wish to conclude that thinking becomes vital for three main concerns: the conceptual and linguistically based nature of thought, intentionality of thought towards the object, and intentionality and non-extensionality of thought. It means directing the thinking towards the self, because self becomes very pertinent over here, and the entire Indian system, whether it talks about liberation of the self, realization of the self, or illumination of the knowledge through intuition, the process begins from the subtle thinking, right kind of thinking. And the four Mahavakya of Vedanta, Aham Brahmasmi Tattvamasi, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Napara. These are the excellent reflection of fine and beautiful creative thinking of human being for the spiritual enhancement. And I would like to conclude my deliberation here only. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for your very brilliant presentation on this topic. Very elaborately, you spoke on the different dimensions of human thinking. That thinking is a human possibility, though perception is the possibility of both animals and human beings. Both animals and human beings perceive, but only human beings can think over it. Suppose we perceive grass, we perceive greenness, but who judges that grass is green? So grass is green is a judgment that is through our process of thinking. And you discussed different aspects of thinking, that is reflection, discursive, evaluative, analytical thinking, creative thinking, dialectical thinking, critical thinking, ethical thinking. You discussed all these aspects of thinking, and very beautifully you said that thinking is the root of, is central to all knowing process. It is central to all pramanans. One after another, you discussed everything, that how thinking is involved in our perception, in inference, in comparison, in language, in verbal testimony, in anupalabdhi, and in all other sources of knowledge. Thinking is involved. Thank you, madam. Now time is short, and I see many questions in the message box. So
Yes.
it is over to Debasis Sarangi that he will conduct the interactive session. Over to Debasis Sarangi.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. And also namaskar to Indu ma'am.
Namaskar.
So, yeah, Pragyam Das Kanungo wants to know, can we say that right thinking leads to right knowledge, and it's right thinking that liberates?
Yeah, we can say that is the very essence of Indian philosophy, that if you're thinking and if your cognitive process in the right direction means I talked about the kosha system. Suppose if you are thinking about the Annamaya Kosh and Pranamaya Kosh and not proceeding towards the Vijnanamaya and Anandamaya Kosh, so it won't liberate you. Unless and until your thinking is proceeding towards the higher level of consciousness, it won't liberate. And proceeding towards the higher level of consciousness is the kind of right thinking in Indian philosophy. And if you are on that direction, it will definitely liberate.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. So the next question is from Satwik Nath. He wants to know, it is rightly said that every inferential knowledge is based on thinking, but every inference is also based on cause or causal connection. So unless we perceive the causal connection by our own experiences, how can we get inferential knowledge?
The very process of understanding the causal connection is based on thinking. Thinking cannot be eliminated from there. Cause and effect are there. But when we establish the relation between cause and effect, it becomes a process of thinking. My submission was that the moment you start establishing a relation or seeing a connection between two things, it may be cause and effect, it may be premises and conclusion, it involves the thinking process. I hope I have answered the question.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. So, if there are no such questions in the chat box, if anyone wants to ask something, if anything left also, they may unmute themselves and ask their question.
Thank you, Debashishi, and good afternoon, Indu ma'am.
Yes.
Indu ma'am, you have talked a lot about the thinking, consciousness, the mythology and philosophy both are the basics of our Indian culture. But do you think our Indian philosophy and mythology are gender sensitized?
Gender sensitized.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you see, it's very difficult to answer the question on this platform because we have got a varieties of references. So it's my answer would not be very clear here whether it's gender sensitized, pro gender, or it's pro male, or it's a patriarchal system. It's very difficult to say on this platform.
I just wanted to know your opinion because you are an educationist and you are talking a lot about that.
Yeah, that is true. It's a to some extent. Once I spoke about the theme of the women empowerment in Indian literature, or you can say, and I could found some of the references in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 9th. I don't remember exactly. It's 11th or 15th slok, where Sri Krishna is saying that Shudra and all the sevakas and all the women should be protected. So in that sense, the reference was there that are women weak and they need to be protected. So when we go to the Brahmanical literature, glamorization of women may be found, but empowerment and equal status of women are not found. That is my opinion.
Thank
So
you.
that
Thank you.
impression that needs to be rectified.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
That is my opinion.
Thank you,
There are
ma'am.
many controversial references. I don't want to enter into it.
Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Hello. Sir, sir, just one more question, sir. Hello? Hello?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
please go ahead.
Please.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, Satvik here, ma'am.
Yes.
I have one more question, ma'am. Please see, right now, due to the virus, our thinking has become delusion. See, most of the country's population is experiencing mental, psychological stress as well as problems. So, since we are talking about clear thinking, how do we think clearly, positively, and effectively in such a scenario?
Actually, Satvik, this is a very brilliant and relevant question. I must congratulate you for raising this question, because you see, when we are passing through this critical period of COVID-19, we have got delusion thinking. Our perception is somewhat deviated towards the negative thing. But you are asking in what way we can restore the positive thinking and we can think in a right direction. My submission is that at this particular moment, the right thinking would be to accept the reality in which we are passing through. We have to accept the situation, and in that situation, we need to perceive very carefully what is harmful for us and what would be the right kind of behavior to make us safe and secure. We cannot just leave the thing. We cannot leave the thing to the mythological thing that this is fated. Being a thinking creature, we need to explore the possibility of the better options. We have to be positive, we have to be helpful, we have to be compassionate, we have to adhere to the human values, and that would be the right kind of thing.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much for your nice response. So, if anyone else who wants to ask something, okay, thank you all. So it's now up to Pramod sir.
Thank you, madam. Madam, I shall say that thinking is gender neutral. So the question that was asked by Suprit madam, how can we specify the perception, thinking, or any source of knowledge to any gender?
Sir, the question asked by Vijeta ma'am was not purely about the thinking. She asked about the mythological opinion, mythological deliberations. So,
Okay, so that is mythological.
Thinking as a concept may be gender neutral, but thinking, if it is referred to particular thing, particular segment, particular ideology, particular event, or particular text, it has to take the reference of that, and there it has to take the shape of that. Like consciousness, consciousness in abstract is neutral, but if it is directed towards any objective thinking or subjective thinking, it takes the shape of that. The same way, the thinking process in itself as a concept is neutral, But
Yes,
when
and
it is, huh, but
that's
when it is
that's
directed towards the topic or subject or theme, it takes the shape of that. It has to
if
take
it
into
if it takes that shape, then our submission will be that should not take that shape.
yeah, that is the precaution.
Yes.
That is
So
the precaution that it should not
that
take that
that
shape.
that message should go.
Yeah,
That is
that's
the
why I said that this kind of perception should be rectified. It should be corrected.
yes. Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. It was very insightful talk. Um, Madam, we are really grateful to you. You, you,
I'm thankful to you for giving me opportunity, time and time, and interacting with you people. It is very nice experience, and it gives me opportunity to think in different dimensions.
thank you, madam.
Learning
Uh,
certain.
Thank you, madam. We are also grateful to you that you have said you have never said no to our requests. Thank you, madam. We are
And,
really grateful. We are
and,
speechless.
and,
We are
I'm,
speechless.
and I'm grateful that you have adjusted the things according to my convenience also.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Because we don't want to miss you. We
Yeah,
don't want to
thank
miss
you
you.
very much. I'm really grateful for that.
Okay, now for formality, for giving a formal vote of thanks, I now request our friend, our faculty of our department, Ms. Asmita Mutali, Assistant Professor of Philosophy, Nayagarh School, Nayagarh, to give a very cordial vote of thanks. Over to Sasmita.
Namaskar to all and very good afternoon. Uh, Now we are in the last part of ICPR sponsored program. Uh, I feel immense pleasure to convey my words of appreciation to all the dignitaries and the guests of today's periodic lecture program. And we are all very grateful to our first chief speaker of today's session, Dr. Patita Pavan Das sir, Assistant Professor of the Department of Philosophy, Ravenshaw University. We convey our deep sense of gratitude to you, sir, for delivering such an insightful talk on the topic knowing by perceiving. And we are all enlightened by your uh, deep analysis on the proposed topic. And in your entire lecture, sir, you very lucidly present that the way of perceiving and the different stages of perception that your way of explanation in your way of explanation that you focus on Buddhist and Naika Nika's Nika's way of perception, that is how Buddhism gives importance on two extremes, and we are very grateful to you, sir. And the talk was very interactive, interesting, and informative. On behalf of our department and other faculty members of our college, we extend our hearty thanks and heartfelt gratitude to you, sir, for accepting our invitation and enlightened us by your illuminating speech. Thank you very much, sir. And again, we are also very grateful to another chief speaker of today's session, Professor Indu Pandey Khanduri Madam, HOD of the Department of Philosophy, HNB Gurwal Central University, Srinagar, Uttarakhand. Our heartfelt thanks, heartfelt gratitude to you, Madam, for such a mesmerizing talk on the topic knowing by
thinking. Really, madam, in your deliberation, you pointed out that by your thought, we can make us perfect, and perfection can be achieved by our thinking process. And you very clearly touch all the different sources of knowledge to justify your talk. And thank you very much, madam. And we learned many more things from your lecture. And we see your level of understanding, which reflects in the in your entire lecture, and our few words of appreciation will be insufficient to estimate your way of thinking. And thank you very much, madam.
Thank you
And
very much. Thank you. Thank you.
for accepting our invitation
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
enlighten us by next, on behalf of philosophy department college, we are very thankful to ICPR for selecting us and giving us uh, financial support for advertising this program and making it possible. I would like to my sincere gratitude our chairperson of this program and Professor Suresh Kumar Pradhan sir, our principal. Though today he is not with us because of his busy schedule, his support, his encouragement, his motivation is always with us for arranging this kind of academic activities. Thank you, sir. And I must mention my sincere appreciation and heartfelt thanks to Mr. Pramod Kumar Das sir, HOD of the Department of Philosophy, Niagara Autonomous College, for organizing, coordinating this kind of program, and his constant effort, his constant dedication for upliftment of philosophy, which inspire all of us to live in philosophy and to move with philosophy. Thank you very much, sir, for making this program successful. And on behalf of Philosophy Department, Niagara Autonomous College, I would like to extend a very heartfelt thanks to Mr. Devasi Sarangi sir for his kind support and all kind of support and making it a grand success. Again, I would like to thank Mrs. Sulagna Samantrai madam for her introductory speech to our guest with her nice words. Thank you, madam. Last but not the least, I would like to extend my big thanks to all the participants, esteemed professors of philosophy, and different faculties of different colleges, various faculties of different colleges, my beloved students for their precious time and active participation in the discussion and making it a grand success. Thank you all once again. Have a blessed day and namaskar.
I thank Sasmita for thanking all.
Thank you.
I am really thankful to Sasmita. How beautifully she proposed a vote of thanks. Really, it was very inspiring and encouraging. She's like my little sister and my colleague. Really, I am grateful to all of you, to Sulagna, to Sasmita, and I am grateful to Dr. Patitaban Das sir, Dr. Indu madam. Grateful, really grateful. We are speechless. We don't feel that this is an ICPR sponsored program. We feel as if it is a family program.
This is a family, sir. This is a family only.
Okay,
we
madam,
are family.
We feel
we are
that.
member of family. We are family.
We feel that. We feel that.
Yeah.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Thank you, all the participants. Thank you all. So now I request Debasi Sarangi, Assistant Professor of Philosophy, LN Mahavidyalaya, Jammusli Baleshwar. I kept your promise that I have to end up in time, and but you please send the feedback link in the group so that participants can get certificate. Thank you, Debasis, for your kind cooperation, your support, your help in moderating the sessions. Thank you, Debasis. Now we shall conclude. We shall close.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.